Feels good when I'm living on the edge. Watch me now, roll like
Hi, Larry Stewart here with ForConstructionPros.com. I'm in Union, Missouri on a Ballmann excavating site with Jon Ballmann, the owner and chief cook and bottle washer here. You have a long experience for a young-looking guy like yourself in this business. You started in construction in high school, right?
Graduated high school in 2000. In February of 2001, I purchased the first skid loader. Valentine's Day. My wife now, she was a girlfriend at the time, we're high school sweethearts. Yeah, that was her present that year.
Oh, nice. She's really happy with that.
We paid it off, though, I think in the first year.
Did you have any experience in construction before that?
Coming out of high school, I went to work for a carpenter as a general laborer, and he had a skid loader, and he quickly learned that I had a knack for running equipment.
Okay.
Only worked for 3 months through the summer of 2000, and then off to Rolla in the fall of 2000.
So you were working with your skid steer loader while you were in college?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And also while in college, to supplement the education, I did an internship with MoDOT.
Okay.
So that's where I learned the bigger, heavy highway civil construction.
Okay. Talk about a job that you remember from college. What was that learning curve like, and what kind of things did you get yourself into?
So working for MoDOT, it was a new day every day, but I was fortunate enough to be on the Page extension, so 364. So we basically started at the Missouri River Bridge and the Highway 94 364 interchange. I think the project had 7 bridges. I learned a lot about bridge construction, concrete curing. Now I was learning this in school, but now I'm seeing it in real life.
Right.
One of my pet peeves to this day is when you come off of a bridge and you have the settlement issue, the little dip. We worked very hard to have good results, and we still had some settlement issues there.
Yeah.
It's just a natural, I guess, on the bridge approach. I did learn that, but it opened my eyes, met a lot of people. Some people actually still keep in contact with today.
What were your first projects like? Any excitement there?
We did a lot of yard jobs, just being with the skid loader, and I had a small single axle dump truck. Hauling dirt in and grading some yards. I mean, we had one instance where we graded this yard one time, and it looked great. The grass came up, but he had dogs. And he turned his dogs loose on a brand new lawn immediately. Now, the dogs ruined the yard, and he called and said, "Jon, I just don't know what happened." I said, "Well, you let your dogs run on it." And he said, "No, not much." And I said, "Well, I've got pictures." And he said, "Well, what does it take to make it look like a golf course?" And I said, "How about a load of manure? We're gonna bring 2 more loads of topsoil, and we'll mix that in." It came up pristine. He was the happiest guy ever. He's still referring customers to this day. We carried that on from 2001 through 2004 with my first unit. And then I purchased another skid loader in 2004, kept that for a short time, and I believe it was 2006, May of 2006, that I bought my first Cat track skid steer. And I was probably a little bit behind the times, but really, tracks were sort of new then on skid loaders. They've really reinvented the construction industry. Skid loaders now are so quick and agile and efficient. We bought a 262 Cat skid steer with aftermarket VTS undercarriage.
Okay.
So this was before Cat actually was putting their dedicated track units on. We bought that, and shortly thereafter a 953C. I bought a Cat high lift or track loader, and then also a Peterbilt dump truck. This time I'm $500,000 in debt and 24 years old and ready to take on the world. And I think, boy, as soon as all this is paid off, I'm going to have the world in my hands. I'm still waiting for that day. I just thought, just 4 more years.
What brought you to that decision to get into a track loader and truck?
I knew I wanted to grow. So chasing this dream, and the track loader was so universal, and it was fairly light. 40,000 plus or minus on a 953C, 44,000 pounds.
Yeah.
I could pull it behind a dump truck. So minimal startup cost. I was in business and able to tackle a pretty good sized project. One of our first projects was building a pond after I bought the 953C. So I wasn't able to do that prior to having that 953. So it opened up to a larger market.
What do you consider to be the sort of the next big step after that in your business?
In 2012, we purchased an excavator, and then shortly thereafter it was a 50,000 pound 321 excavator. We bought a D6N Cat dozer. At that point, we added GPS, and the world just opened.
Yeah.
We had some customers call, and they saw that we were growing and had this equipment. And then when we added the technology concept to it, people learned that they weren't paying nearly as much for staking. We were taking care of ourselves on the job. I feel like the skies opened.
What was it about GPS technology that convinced customers that you were the one to work with?
But they may have paid $30,000 to a civil engineer to draw these plans. And when they learned that we could plug that into our equipment, we would load it on our equipment and see right away what we were doing. They quickly realized that they were not paying their surveyor as much. The customers have seen the efficiencies with that and really let us run with it.
That was 2012?
That's correct, 2012.
Okay.
Now, I had experience for my previous employer since 2006. He bought his first unit and put it on a D6N in November of 2006.
Okay. All right.
So I got my feet wet in learning GPS and the rover and everything, but he had a Trimble system as well. That's where the relationship started with GPS, but it was limited. We've since added it to multiple machines. We have it on everything from, recently a skid loader and also an excavator. We have it on 2 scraper tractors and 5 or 6 dozers.
So 2012, what was the state of your competitors primarily in GPS? I mean, were you on the front edge of that adoption at that level?
We were in the middle to tailing because we were limited. We only had 1 unit and it was really ramping up. But if you remember, 2008, 2009, the recession in there, thankfully, I was small growing through that. I was in the seat myself, so it helped control the expenses. I think now we're keeping up with the industry for sure. We've caught up.
I mean, how many employees and how many pieces?
45 machines and 28 employees, 6 or 8 trucks, whether they're dump trucks, end dumps, float trucks, the supplementary equipment. It's not what we really do. It's part of our business, but the grading side of the world is where we really thrive.
And you're up to scrapers.
We run some old Challengers, 95E Challengers. They're bulletproof, and the Challengers are narrow, so the mobilization is easy. Run those on a trailer. We were able to load a trailer and a scraper on 1 float, and we can mobilize and hop around jobs. We had one here working on this job site. It's about 10 acres here.
What's your revenue range?
Our happy spot, 5 to 7, 5 to 8 million. We've been growing every year. If we can keep pricing in line and hopefully revenue grows, to keep up with fuel pricing. I've seen too many competitors grow too fast and then go away very quickly.
So where do you feel like the greatest risk is in growth and growing too fast, as you said?
The biggest fear for me is probably the loss of a customer. So if you grow too fast and you can load up on employees, but they're not in quality of employees, we could lose a customer as fast as we gained one. We have a very strong customer base, but if we lose $1 million a year customer, that could be a crucial piece of our business and gone in a split second. I always tell my employees, customers first.
You got to keep growing. What's your next step?
I feel like I've achieved most of my goals. Maybe I didn't set them high enough. I do not want to be the largest guy in town, but I do want to provide that quality service and craftsmanship, that we're known for. If we grow on a 5 to 10% growth over the next 5 years, I'm completely happy. And if we have good guys, we'll try to push forward just as we are.
Are you at a point now where you're keeping crews year-round? I mean, you're keeping your good guys?
Generally, yes. We do scale up during the summer. We might pick up 2 or 3. The 28 pretty well have run all winter long. Now, I'll tell you that it was sort of a long winter here in St. Louis. Just with the snows and the moisture. It rained or snowed every Thursday for the last 6 or 8 weeks. So that was tough for a lot of guys. We could get 2 or 3 days in, but some of the guys that were lower on the food chain, it got tricky, and we try to find odd jobs and things like that to pick up, concrete demos and things like that.
Well, thanks so much, Jon. I appreciate it. It was a great story.
You bet. Thank you, Larry.
I'm a